Welcome to the 2023 VEX Robotics World Championship. My name is Grant Cox, and I'm the chairman of the VEX Robotics Game Design Committee. I'm here with Tyler McCrary, VEX World Championship Master of Ceremonies.
Hey everyone, Grant and I are here in Dallas and can't wait for you to join us in just a few short days. But we wanted to make sure that you can come prepared and get the most out of your VEX Worlds experience.
This is our third year of doing the remote drivers meeting. Having this meeting in advance should give you all some time to absorb the information and prepare for your event.
First, we'll cover some team-related information you'll need to be aware of. We're going to talk about the event agenda, the team check-in process, and some of the fun activities we have planned for teams while there. Teams should also install the VEX Via app so they can check match results and rankings as they're happening. The opening ceremonies will have amazing lights and music and the Parade of Nations, and the closing ceremonies are where we'll play the overall finals and give away the top awards and have the game unveiling. Also, be sure to swing by the pit area to check out all the team's decorations. We've got a pit decoration contest going on, so it's going to be really fun. But remember, don't expand out of your pit area or take down the pipe and drape. The pit signs are yours to keep after the event, and they'll look great in your practice area back home. But don't take down the pipe and drape.
Due to tightened security measures this year, each team member will be required to have a badge and lanyard at all times to access the pits, divisions, skills, and arena. These items will be shipped to US teams only the week of April 10th. International teams will pick up badges and lanyards at Spectator Check-In located in Hall D. Each team will receive one free parking pass to the Convention Center's parking lot E. This pass will be mailed to teams along with their badges and lanyards. Please check your preferred address on robotevents.com to ensure that these things get to you.
When you're not busy with matches, stop by the REC Foundation booth. We've got a lot of fun challenges going on this year, including the VEX Worlds Passport Challenge and the VEX Worlds Selfie Challenge. These are just a few of the ways you can qualify for daily giveaways. Graduating seniors, you'll have an opportunity to join the REC Foundation Alumni Program during the event. Once you join, you'll receive a graduation keepsake from the REC Foundation.
Once you have your VEX Worlds Passport card, head over to the exhibitors area. You can always get a bunch of swag from those exhibitors. Once you've visited all the exhibitors, you can turn in your VEX Worlds Passport card at the REC Foundation booth to receive a cool prize.
The Girl Powered Lounge will be open during designated times during the event. A few activities going on at the lounge include photo opportunities, daily giveaways, and swag, and even featured speakers. Plus, it's always fun to hang out and make new friends.
Up next, let's talk about volunteering at the VEX World Championship. Event volunteers are the heart and soul of REC Foundation events. While you're at the VEX Robotics World Championship, please consider volunteering. Many of the volunteer positions don't even require technical skills or expertise. This will allow you to be up close and personal with all the action going on in your division. There are a ton of roles available, so check out the volunteer section of the 2023 VEX Robotics World Championship website or email volunteer@recf.org with any questions.
And lastly, what if someone gets lost or doesn't know where to go or can't figure out what to do or even has questions about the app? Where can they go for help?
Ask Tyler.
Oh.
That's where you go for help.
Oh.
No, help is always found at Pit Admin. Pit Admin is your one-stop shop to get any answers. This is also where teams will go to pick up their medals.
So, how will inspection work this year?
We'll be doing the self-inspection process again this year. We encourage all teams to go to the RECF library, download your specific VEX Worlds inspection sheet, complete it ahead of time, and bring it with you to inspection. These can be found by going to library.recf.org, selecting the volunteer section, and searching VEX Worlds 2023 inspection. Links can also be found in the April 4th game manual update that was released to all teams. If you don't have access to a printer or forget to bring your inspection sheet, we will have additional inspection sheets available for pickup right at the inspection station. These sheets must be completed and signed by both a coach and team member before getting in line. Our inspectors will check a few of the selected items before approving your robot to get on practice fields and compete in matches.
Can teams do anything to make the inspection process faster?
Absolutely. VEX Worlds is going to be utilizing the V5 Smart Field Control System that will not allow a team to play if they're using the wrong firmware. So, make sure that all brains, motors, controllers, etc. are updated to VEX-OS 1.1.1 or higher, or you'll not be able to play in your matches. We highly recommend 1.1.2. Your robot brain also needs to be named with your team number and letter with no spaces. If you're not sure how to do this, the April 4th game manual update includes a link to the RECF library that explains more. when you get to inspection, we'll give you a plastic plug for your controller to prevent you from plugging into the wrong port and causing damage. Teams should also make sure that all of their robot components are legal for the competition. VRC robots can't use functional 3D printed parts, 5-inch flex wheels, non-standard pneumatic tubing, or non-standard anti-slip matting, just for a few examples. Also, make sure to double check that any string on your robot, not sure what you'd be using that for, is between an 1/8 inch and a 1/4 inch. We'll also be verifying during inspection that your robot doesn't expand beyond the 18-inch limit while manipulating discs. Although this won't technically fail inspection, it is a violation if it happens during a match. So the inspection team will be checking it during inspection, noting any expansion risk teams, and communicating these to division head referees.
Speaking of smart field control, will teams need to switch to Bluetooth mode for skills again this year?
Yes. Just like last year, all Robot Skills Challenge matches will be required to use the Bluetooth radio mode on both your radio and your controller, not VexNet. However, VexNet mode will be required for head-to-head match play. To learn how to switch between the two modes, head over to the REC library. Under VRC, select Competitions, then Tournaments to find the Smart Field Control Guide for teams. This was also linked in the April 4th game manual update.
What else should they know for this year?
A whole lot. First off, Rule T6 says that teams should come to the field ready to play. If you use pneumatics, this means you must have your system charged before placing the robot on the field. It's okay if you do it in the queuing area, or if you do it next to the field in the driver's station, but remember that it can't be over 100 PSI and you can't be charging it once it's placed on the field. Also, all robot transport systems, carts, wagons, dollies, really buff friends, must stay in the queuing area and are not allowed on the field. Yeah, more Tyler than me.
If you look like me, you gotta stay in the queuing area. How will the competition be structured this year?
The competition will basically be the same as it was last year. There will be 10 high school divisions, 6 middle school divisions, 2 VexU, and 2 JROTC. Each division will play kind of like its own standalone tournament, crowning a division champion. Then, division champions will play in a standard elimination bracket within their respective programs for the overall finals. There may be play-in matches for lower-seeded divisions, and the higher-seeded divisions will be getting a bye. For VexU and JROTC, their division champions will go straight to their world finals.
Okay, that makes sense. But typically, seeds are determined by qualification rankings. How are you going to rank the divisions in this bracket?
So it's actually pretty simple. It's all detailed in the game manual update, but to summarize, divisions will be ranked based on who achieves the highest average score over the course of all their qualification matches. Obviously, the object of the game from match to match is to get a higher score than your opponent. So, it follows that each division should be trying to get a higher score than the other divisions to try and seed highest in the rankings. We piloted this format last year, and it seemed to be pretty well received.
That sounds good. What else you got?
Well, all teams should keep in mind 2 of the most important rules in any robotics competition, G1 and G2. Treat everyone with respect. And remember, this is a student-centered program. Students should be always doing the work, and even in the heat of a competitive moment, everyone should remember to be respectful to each other.
So if a team member has a question about a ruling the head referee makes, what should they do?
Per Rule T3, Drive Team members may appeal a ruling while still in the Alliance Station. But teams must remember that once the head referee has made an official decision, it is final.
Can a coach, adult, or mentor approach the head referee to dispute a ruling?
Nope, only team members. Remember, this is a student-centered competition, and students must be the ones advocating for themselves.
How can teams make sure that the scores entered are accurate?
Good question. After the match has been scored, the scorekeeper referees will show all teams the score. Once teams agree and the score is confirmed, the score is final. There should never be a need to question whether a score was entered correctly, because it's done right there at the field with all team members actively participating in the process.
So I have a whole list of questions here that were pre-submitted by teams who are ready to push this game to its limit. Are you, Grant, ready for this?
Always.
Okay. What happens in a skills match if a robot touches the high goal with an expansion during the end game?
Because this is an SG5 violation that changes the score of the match, it is by definition a major violation and a disqualification. The score for that match is recorded as a 0. Any violation in a skills match that changes the score is a DQ, and you don't get to rerun that match.
Some parts are on back order in my region, and they won't be available by Worlds. Can I 3D print copies of them for my robot?
No. 3D printed parts are only allowed on VRC robots if they're used as non-functional decorations, license plates, or license plate holders that don't add other functionality. 3D printed copies of other VEX parts are not, have never been, and probably won't ever be allowed.
However, the decorations are cool.
Yes, absolutely.
How strictly will referees be enforcing the rule that robots can't leave the field during the endgame? If my expansion bounces off a blocker, will I be DQ'd?
So this is a good question. The April 4th game manual update did not include any changes to S2 or any of the other rules that pertain to this. All of the head refs at Worlds are head refs that you've seen at signature events or state championships or regional championships and so forth. So they'll be calling rules consistently with how they were called at those large high-profile events. So in the context of this question, if your robot contacts anything outside the field or goes through the net due to an early expansion or during the endgame, you will be DQ'd, even if you manage to bring it all back inside the field. This is just a safety rule, straight up, so there's no way to undo the DQ. The only exception is if a robot picks up an already deployed expansion from another robot and moves it outside the field. That's a separate action that isn't penalized by Rule S2.
If my robot accidentally expands early, what am I allowed to do? Am I automatically DQ'd?
So if you can fix the early expansion before doing any other gameplay, you'll probably just get a minor SG4 violation, which is basically a warning. Once it's fixed and your robot is back in size, you can keep playing the game. If you can't get back in size, you're not allowed to continue playing the game, including offense and defense. You should move to a place on the field where you're not blocking gameplay or any other robots, and you won't earn any points for the tiles that are covered by your robot. Any early expansion is a violation of SG4.
What happens if there's a disc stuck under my robot? Does that count as possessed?
In most cases, a disc that's stuck under a robot will move around the field with the robot. Therefore, it meets the thought experiment definition of possessed. If you've got extra discs, Rule SG7 says that you have to stop all actions other than trying to get rid of the extra discs. This means that you can't play offense or defense until you're back down to 3 or fewer discs. You are welcome to shoot the extra disc to remove it, just don't shoot it towards any of the goals or the head referees. If you can't get back down to 3 discs, you'll have to sit out the rest of the match and you won't earn any points for the tiles covered by your robot.
Will the fields and divisions in the dome have a GPS code strip?
Yes, all the fields in the divisions and the dome will be the elevated, portable field perimeters with built-in GPS codes.
Will the field tiles and field elements be new?
We'll be starting the VRC High School tournament with brand new field elements, and of course, we will swap those out for new ones if anything breaks. Divisions and the dome fields will all also start with brand new field tiles. Practice and skills fields will have a mix of old and new tiles. We also won't be changing over all the tiles and elements between high school and middle school.
So what happens if I expand early in a skills match? Am I DQ'd?
If a robot expands early in a skills match, it will trigger the 10-second endgame period per RSC 6. For example, if a robot expands horizontally with 42 seconds left on the match timer, the match will end when the clock hits 32 seconds. Of course, accidental early expansion is a bit different from the planned skills stop time, and in most cases, that won't be recorded as an early stop time.
What kind of field and brain errors will qualify for replays at Worlds?
All of the World's divisions will be staffed by field techs, and most of these techs are VEX engineers. These field techs will investigate all disconnects, drops, or other issues to determine whether or not a field fault has occurred. Decisions on replays will be made by head referees and division managers, and will rely on the field tech's advice.
If our team wins our division and makes it to the VEX Dome for the finals, do we have to walk back and forth to our pit on the other side of the building?
No. Division champions will be escorted by their division managers to the dome, where we will actually have a specific set of finals pits that are separated by each division. This area will emulate the same pits that you had in the conventions hall. So table, chairs, power drop, all that stuff.
Because the matches are streamed, will the referees be allowed to look at the official footage to help with rules calls?
No. Referees are never allowed to review photo or video footage from matches, even at Worlds.
Some referees count up from 1 for traps, and others count down. Will all of the Worlds referees be doing it the same way? Also, what counts as trapping at Worlds?
At Worlds, referees should be counting up from 1 for trapping. You should back off for a full tile at or before they call 5. If you keep trapping, or don't wait long enough before resuming a trap, the referee will continue the count where it left off. If a count goes to 6 or beyond, you'll earn a G15 violation and possibly a DQ. As for what qualifies as a trap, it's the same as it has all season. If you're restricting an opponent's movement to a small area, you're probably trapping. Remember, you're allowed to trap for up to 5 seconds, but then you have to separate by a tile for another 5 seconds before you can come back. Now, don't forget, if a trap starts during the end game, it can run the full 10 seconds with no penalty. If a trapping count starts before the end game, you still have to back off and end normally, or you'll be penalized. Just like a normal trap, you'll have to separate by a full tile for 5 seconds before you can start trapping the same robot again.
Last year, the skills lines at Worlds were long. Can we leave a teammate or a coach to hold our place in line while we play a match?
No. If your robot leaves the skills line, you give up your spot in the line.
Does all of my plastic have to fit inside a 12 by 24 sheet, or just the functional parts? Am I required to bring a map that shows that it all fits?
It's a good plan to bring a map that shows how your functional pieces can fit together in a 12 by 24 sheet, just to avoid any issues in inspection. We're not requiring it per se, but it's your best evidence if an inspector has a question. If the inspector isn't satisfied with your plastic use, or of course your compliance with any inspection rule, you won't be able to play in any matches until you've passed. This is covered by R3D and E.
How long will teams have between elimination rounds and finals matches to reset their robots?
Teams will have at least 5 minutes between rounds and best of 3 matches to reset their robots. If it takes you longer than 5 minutes to reset your robot, you should probably be working on that right now.
If a robot gets entangled in a net, gets disabled, but then is later bumped by another robot and freed from the net, can the driver pick up the controller and start driving again?
No. Per the definition of disabled, once you're disabled for a safety violation, you are not allowed to operate the robot for the remainder of the match.
At some local events, we weren't allowed to use custom 1-to-1 cartridges, even though the Q&As made them legal. Can we use them at Worlds? How about large washers and weights on our expansion mechanism?
Our official stance on custom motor cartridges or custom weights on expansion mechanisms or anything like that is going to be, as long as it is made from otherwise legal components, they will be legal. Large washers are considered normal washers under the hardware rule, and most of the 1-to-1 cartridge designs that are popping up are very skillfully and creatively done using legal components like spacers or legal plastic or whatnot. So yes, as long as it's demonstrably made with otherwise legal parts, they will be legal. Now, of course, if a head referee or inspector thinks your mechanism isn't safe, or if it is made using illegal parts, like 3D printed parts or whatnot, you may be asked to modify or remove it.
All right. Well, that's about all the rules and questions we have time for.
This was fun, even though I had to keep saying no to things. I hope it was just as informative for the teams as it was for you, Tyler. Just wait till you see this event.
Oh, dude, I look forward to it every year. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to say hello to Grant and me when you see us at the 2023 VEX World Championship. See you there.